crispy.
Hi y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Figures in Action. Today, let me turn on the lights and give you guys a better look at today's offering. Let me back this down up a little bit. Alright guys, so I was contacted by a gentleman by the name of Lewis, who had actually hit me up 2 years ago. He hit me up 2 years ago, but he did it through my like page on Facebook. So for whatever reason, at that point, I wasn't getting messages because a lot of older messages where people were hitting me up and asking me questions. This guy in particular was hitting me up because he wanted a dial. This was 2 years ago. So I'm kind of going through these old messages and I'm like, oh shit. So I'm lying, I take that back. He messaged me again 2 years later, and now his message it's easier to get messages via your page. And then I noticed that he had hit me up 2 years prior. So Lewis, thank you very much for your persistence. I mean, it's not super persistent because it wasn't like you was hitting me up monthly, but you also told me that you had been following me, and so I'm assuming that you know that I'm always working on something, and maybe I wasn't getting back to you, but in reality I had never seen that original message. So I'm really glad that we connected. So Lewis sent me a picture of what he wanted, and it was a particular dial that I did that had the stairs going up there, and this little balcony was there, and it was totally different because the stairs were off, they were foam, and a lot easier to create, as all I had to do was one side of the stairs and then it was just flushed against here. With the size of this, that wasn't going to be a possibility, and that really was not what's the best word to describe this? When it became apparent that these stairs were going to be pretty difficult, I was like, man, this is not going to be nearly as easy as I thought it was going to be. But I'm glad I did it. There's another project that I keep amping up, that I've been amping up for months, for my homeboy Rana, that's going to include stairs and you know, a similar build to this. And one of the reasons I haven't gotten to that portion of it, I've started carving it, is mainly because of fear, honestly. I mean, I'm a big proponent of don't be afraid, you know, buck your fear and so forth, but maybe not fear, maybe just not knowing how to get into it instantly, not knowing how I'm gonna, you know, I'm always trying to make everything so that you can kind of take it apart and put it away. And in this case, at one point I realized that wasn't gonna be the case, that I wasn't gonna be able to do that with these stairs. They were gonna have to be permanent. Was a little bit let down by that, but I think for the way I ended up breaking it down, it's gonna be just fine. So let's go through this real quick. First and foremost, I think it's 18 inches across, and I want to say 16 inches tall, I'm pretty sure, and it is I think 12 solid inches deep. I did the technique where this piece does not lay on top of the foam, but rather it kind of the bottom of this piece lays on the desk or wherever you're placing this. So let's go through this real quick. First and foremost, I've used this before. This is I've used these mostly for dojos, and what I wanted to do is create something a little bit different where it was like a metal grated screen, you know, security type of screen, and it just bolted down by these guys. So that's just created by foam sheets that are just folded over. And this little thing is, man, I hope I put it somewhere. Yep, I see it. So those little half beads, I've used them before. They look like, the sheet looks like this. So basically this is like half beads, pearlized beads that have the sticky bottom, and I usually sand them off and then I paint them, stick them to whatever, and they can, you know, they can double as kind of bolts and so forth. So this is what I've used before. I found these, I think, at Michael's, I'm pretty sure. So I use that for these guys, but I actually did in fact wrap the foam sheet around the grate, and so it made it seem more like a security feature that you may see in an alleyway type dial. One of the doors that I had already pre-created, I think I did like 6 doors, so this is one of them. I went with this style. I put the sewing mesh in here, at that 45-degree angle, and then I put vellum paper in the back, as well as vellum paper in the back of the top window. That's one of those lights, those reading lights that come with the mechanical arms that I think people are using these days for Dr. Octopus, and it has a switch so you can turn it on and off right there. These are pretty, I was pretty excited about these when I created them. So these are kind of those, they protect, they usually, you find them almost any alleyway. They're like these little beams that are basically the outside is metal. It's a hollow metal tube, and then it's filled in with cement. So usually the cement has kind of a rough look at the top of it just because it's filled in that way. And then what I did is, for the first time, because I've used these before in different I don't know, one time I used a bunch of wine corks, and I kind of stacked them up together. This is an actual dowel rod. They sell these in packs. And what I did is I drilled a hole in them using my Dremel. Then I kind of pegged them using a smaller dowel rod. And then they peg right into, kind of peg right into there. The cool thing about it is, like, it won't move, it won't fall, and so forth. So I love that I was able to do that. These stickers right here, these miniature stickers that my homeboy, what's his IG name is, I'll list them in the bottom, but he rips it with these little graffiti type deals. So this is an actual sticker of one of my work, which is kind of amazing, and you can see how tiny that is. And then what I did to create this whole, and his name is Steven Snaz Fernandez. I want to say is Snaz Fernandez, but anyway, I think it's 5'4". Man, let me stop trying to figure this out. I'll definitely, when I upload this video, I'll definitely post his information, because he does a bunch of other real cool props. But anyway, so what I did is I took a little hand, like a drill bit, and just kind of spun it into place, and then it brought out the foam versus just stabbing it, because I felt like just stabbing it, it just didn't feel right, because I tried it with that one, and I said, well, let me just kind of dig that out. So I dug that out, no problem, it worked just fine. So you're able to peg these in, no issues. What else? So that's just the corrugated cardboard that I used. I did cut this out, and I did push it back a bit. I also used those man, what are they called? Those sticks, those glow sticks. So these are glow sticks pretty much. So that whole row is just glow sticks, and those glow sticks come with these extensions that are pretty cool. So I was able to rock out that extension. Then there was like another style extension, so I can put in the bottom. So it definitely made it look more like what you would see in an official alleyway somewhere. He wanted some graffiti. He wanted to make sure that there was an Al figure on this, so I threw an Al figure on there. And he has a son, Ian, Jonathan, and that's just like another DZ. That's me, Days. And then his last name and graffiti style, and of course ACBA. And I haven't been reminding people enough. ACBA, if you guys are aware of what it is, I get new subscribers. You guys may not be familiar, but ACBA stands for Articulated Comic Book Art, and it's basically the way I always explain it. It's like taking a comic book panel where there's an action shot, and recreating the action shot using dioramas like this and action figures like this, and cut out word bubbles to make it look like, and it's all tangible, so no photoshopping and none of that, just all tangible working, making it look like there was a fight scene or whatever scene you want to recreate. That's Moon Knight, Marvel Legends 6-inch figure, 4-scale. And I just created a shot using Moon Knight. He was kicking some dude off of that, so I'll post that at the end of this video so you guys have an idea of what ACBA looks like. If you're interested, go check them out on Instagram, which is Articulated Comic Book Art. You can look for the same name on Facebook as well. The stairs, alright. Okay, up here real quick. So I originally wanted to do a door. The problem with doing a door is it would have been too short. It would have went to the very top and it just wouldn't look good. So I told him I'd just switch it up for like a window with a grated type of thing. I just realized that I still need to put kind of that rust up there, and I just also noticed like 2 spots that didn't get painted in black. So I have to go back and kind of touch up a couple of spots. Okay, so, and it's the signage there. That's I just basically what I do is I go to the internet, I look for alleyway signs, and then I shrink them to size so that they fit. And this one's just kind of like a employee only entrance, and that's all drivers must report to shipping office, and cruise roofing and siding, and no loitering or trespassing sign. These are just put them there for filler. The floor, put a couple different that sand texture, put in some actual sand, try to stain it up a little bit to just make it look more realistic. Threw in a permanent Civil War newspaper in the back in the corner there, and the stairs. All right, so let's take off. Let's take no. Let me see. That's all right. So let's go with this portion first. So what I did here is I created this separately, and a lot of times my biggest thing with creating stairs, creating anything that you're using, you know, either skinny sticks or balsa wood or dowel rods or foam or what have you, is that, you know, two things. First and foremost, I use low temp glue. So the problem with low temp glue, the benefits of low temp glue is that it won't burn your hand. I can kind of adjust it. Once I kind of apply it, I can wait a few seconds and just do things with it with my fingers and kind of put it into place and kind of do what I want to do with it. The problem is that if the area is too hot, if it's in a hot environment, that glue will literally start to melt. So one of the things I've been doing more recently is reinforcing everything with tacky glue. So a lot of this is like tacky glue. You put it on, I'm like pressing it together, then I put glue gun on the outside to kind of reinforce it, so that tacky glue you know, stays put. The glue, I don't think melts, like literally melts off. It just softens, and you just, what if he had this displayed and he has an action figure standing on top with his arms resting on you know, on something, and then it softens up, and then the weight of the figure is gonna dislodge one of the pieces. So I just want to make sure that I'm going forward always using tacky glue as well as hot glue. But this is just a one-piecer. You can't take this apart. It's glue gun together. I used the same kind of mat that I used for the dojos, kind of just painted it. I need to just notice it now with the camera that I need to give it a second touch, as well as the glue. But one of the things I like about the glue gun is that it almost looks like welded metal, welded steel. So that's kind of the look that I just, in my mind, was like, yeah, we're just gonna go with that, and that makes the most sense. So that's just one piece there. Then it's this other piece here, and again, a one-piecer, glue gun together and so forth. So what I did originally is that the stairs and where the stairs rest is a project foam board, so the kind of that skinny white foam board, and then I reinforced it with skinny sticks all over, you know, the bottom as well, so those stairs wouldn't crush. Made sure that it's, you know, made it as strong as possible. I mean, you know, a lot of times the way I test to see the strength is just kind of tapping it and kind of going at it and, you know, giving it some, beating it up a little bit just to see if it can kind of maintain and withstand. And it did. This light, I'm going to turn it off, been on for a while, but I just put a couple of foam sheets on top just so it can kind of match the height of the other side and kind of help reinforce that a little bit. And yeah, man, so that's how I went about this dio. And the way it comes apart is this piece here kind of just lays on top, so you take that out. But this other piece here, like I was telling you guys, it kind of goes, see it there. So, and then you can see the airbrush, the difference of it, the difference that it makes when you airbrush it versus the original gray color. So that just kind of sticks into place. I think I have said everything I needed to say for this piece. Yeah, I think I'm pretty done. One of the things, another thing, because this happens to me a lot. I've noticed, like a lot of times, you try to anticipate everything. Like for example, when I cut that piece out and I'm cutting it out, I'm doing the whole thing, and I magnetize everything. Then when I put it together, there's a gap. So there was a gap. This board was a little tiny bit warped up here, and so that when you looked at the side of it, you can see, even though it's magnetized, so it's, you know, not to the very top, like right there. Even with that being magnetized there, you could still see this gap up there. So I decided to put kind of the electricity or cable TV wiring there, and it covers up kind of that flaw. And that's what you have to do a lot of times when you're creating these dials. You know, a lot of times it's how do you cover up these flaws? How do you make it look natural so that it doesn't stick out as something you did just to cover up kind of a flaw, you know, what have you. So doorknob, same piece that I've used for doorknobs for various dials, and those are from I want to say Michaels. I believe it's Michaels. And I think that is it, y'all. Yeah, we're almost at 15 minutes. Enough is enough. Alright, guys, thanks for looking. And any comments, questions, leave them, and I'll get back to you. Have a great day. Peace.